Welcome back to another episode of Making Sense for Long Island, where we bring in local industry experts from all sorts of walks of life with the common goal of giving you the best advice you need to make life a little bit easier for all of us who call Long Island our home. Today's topic is a little different. It's about networking. It's about building real, meaningful, genuine relationships across professional chambers of commerce and networking groups. And I could not think of a better person to bring in than my good friend, Lenore Paparocki. So, Lenore, thank you for joining us today.
Chris, thank you so much. I do appreciate all those accolades, and I appreciate you thought of me. I'm happy to be here, and I can't wait to share some of the things that I've learned over my time.
Yeah, speaking of accolades, you are now the president of the Middle Country Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
But let's talk about the road that got you there. We've known each other in several different professional relationships and iterations over a decade now, believe it or not.
Oh,
but
dear.
can you give us a 30,000-foot view, kind of how you started and what got you to where you are today?
Sure. So I'm going to make it as short as possible because
Yeah.
it's long. But we'll go, let's start off with, I went to school for social work and was working in that field for about a year. Decided it wasn't really the where I wanted to be. So I went into retail management, and I managed many stores, sometimes unit stores, group stores, throughout the next half of my business life. Had my baby, my daughter Alyssa, and stayed home. I was lucky enough to be a stay-at-home mom. And when she went back to school. When she went to school, then I went back to work. And I ended up over at Sports Plus. For those who remember Sports Plus, I know a long time ago now, but I was at the event center, and I managed and organized all the different kinds of events. Most people will remember things like the haunted house. That was all month of October. That was always a lot of fun. We had wrestling matches, boxing matches, all different kinds of events, as social events and things like that. So a lot of fun. Didn't know how well I would do in that, and I actually did really well. And I was shocked of myself because I didn't. Well, what do I know about doing events? Well, I guess I knew more than I thought, and was able to when Sports Plus closed, was able to move right up the road to the Holiday Inn Express in Stony Brook, and I was there for 10 years as a director of sales. And that's really, I think, where I learned the most about networking was there. We were involved. The hotel was involved in 7 or 8 different chambers, and it was my responsibility to go out and introduce myself and tell everybody about the hotel. And I did that for 10 years. You know, you get past the initial, it's an angst because you're walking into, a group that nobody knows you, or for that matter, door to door back in the day. Now, unfortunately, because of COVID, they don't really accept that anymore. But I used to be able to just knock on office doors and go, "Hi, I'm here." No soliciting. That's all right. I'm not soliciting. I'm just bringing you information.
Yeah.
And I got really good at that as well. And then ended up meeting up with James Verdi of Synergy Wealth Strategies, and he ended up saying, "Lenore, I really think I need you. I don't want to network anymore. I want you to do it." So I am Director of Business Development at Synergy Wealth Strategies with James Verdi and a number of other fantastic financial advisors on our team. I do their business development, their brand awareness, and I take care of all their events. So that's kind of my road in a short synopsis, but it had a lot of tosses and turns and curves and mountains and hills and oh my goodness, but this is where I am now, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I can tell. I can certainly tell from seeing all the events. You're a duck in water out at all these various networking events. But, going from social work, one-on-one connections, building real connections with individual people, then going to Sports Plus where you had to reach large groups of people, right, to help promote the events and work with various vendors and organizations, to the hotel, and to now with Synergy. You probably had to kind of shift your mentality a little bit from focusing on one individual to now these larger groups of organizations and people. What are some of the kind of tips and tricks you learned along the way early on? How to attend these events, make connections with people, and make real, authentic connections?
It's a great question. And it was trial and error. So it was through trial and error that I think I got where now I realize that the most important thing about where you're going and what you're networking, or where you choose to network, is the right group for you. Oftentimes, you think about, okay, so what kind of people are going to be there? Is there people that I need to meet? Or is it just like more of a, happy hour get together, which are fine. Don't get me wrong, they're fine. But I think that every single business networking event you go into, you should have a little bit of a game plan. Do some research about the group before you go, who's involved, who's your board of directors, if there is such a thing, that kind of thing. If it's not just most business organizations that are networking will have some sort of people, a list of who is the, president, whatever, that sort of thing. And I try to find out who would be in there. If it's another chamber, you look for the chamber people who are going to be there. Who are the members? And then target those people. And how do you find them? Well, a lot of time it's called faith. I love to tell a story. I remember going to one chamber and I said, "Oh, this is the man I want to meet." He happened to be a CEO of a very large company down close to the hotel at the time. And I said to myself, I got to meet this guy. How am I going to pick him out? I don't know. There's no picture of him. I just happened to read that he was a member of this particular chamber. So I walk up and I'm in there and I'm kind of walking around and I'm like, okay, who is? I'm looking at name tags and such. I walk up to the bar. Well, for people who know me, that's where you normally find me anyway, because that's where I do my best socializing. And I order my drink, and who's next to me? I start chatting with. Turns out it was the CEO I wanted to target. And I said, "Oh my goodness, that can't be a coincidence." So you always have to go with faith, knowing you're going to meet that person, because you will. It's ironic that that's what happens, but it does happen often, more times than not. And then I guess another piece of it is to, once you're in there, to understand that people love to talk about themselves. At a networking event, they don't want to hear about you. They want to talk about themselves because they're there thinking they want to hand you their card. Well, you don't want to just take somebody's card and exchange it.
Right.
So what do you do so that it benefits you? You listen to their story. You hear all about their story. And then you think to yourself, okay, how can I fit what I do to them? And then maybe after that first initial, because they'll say, "Hey, Lenore, so what do you do?" And I work for, Synergy Wealth Strategy, financial planning. Now, this person may not need a financial planner, but as I'm listening to the conversation, I'm making a mental note, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, I know a person who really could help that person." And so then when I get back to my office or the next morning on their business card, by the way, those kind of cards where you just say, "Here, give me my phone." I hate to tell all the young people, it really doesn't work that well. The old-fashioned way sometimes is the best because that person's card, if you want to call it that, digital card, get put into my hundreds, thousands maybe of contacts. How do I remember you? I can't, but I'll remember your card. And I'll be able to say, "Oh, yeah, this one here, this company, I got to connect them with this person." And then when I sit down, I put that down, I write it down. I always have notes about everybody I meet. So I'm still old-fashioned. I still have a drawer full of business cards. Jim likes to pick on me for that. "Lenore, my goodness, what are you doing?" I said, "Listen, I remember people by what our conversation was." And then because of that, now I'd be talking to somebody, I'll be like, "Oh, I met somebody who does exactly what you're looking for," and then I can go through my cards and go, "This is the person, let me connect you." And that's how I remember. I mean, maybe I'm just old-fashioned. It could be. Listen, I'm going to give it up. I am old-fashioned. I do a lot of old-fashioned ways, but they work for me. I just don't know, unless somebody wants to make me more techie, how do you take that digital card and then remember who that person is? It's just so hard to do. But in any case, that's what I look to do. If I can't help them, if I, as being a person who works in a finance world, and there's nothing right now that I'm going to be able to do for them, I'm going to try to do something else for them. Why? Because they'll remember me. "Oh, Lenore connected me with the XYZ person, and that really helped me." Well, when they do need financial services, I can't answer their questions because I'm not a financial planner, but I certainly have a great team that I could set them up with. And that's how I build that business. And also a credible reputation, because if I say I'm going to hook you up or, introduce you with somebody and make that connection, I make sure that as soon as possible I do that. I don't just drop the ball and say, "Well, all right, I said I was going to do that, but I'm not going to do it anyway."
Laura, you touched on three incredible things that I want to point out and things that I just learned about you right now.
Oh, okay.
One is the prep work.
Yeah.
When I see you at these events, you seem like it's your natural habitat, right? You see everyone, your hugs, you can talk about, you're a talk show host. You could talk to anybody about anything
Yeah.
and have a good conversation with them as well. I never would have guessed all the prep work that goes into it. And I think that's good advice for both individuals and businesses, maybe going to their first chamber meeting. Don't just walk in there blindly, right? Kind of go in there with, oh, who else is going to be there? Who's on the chamber? Who could either be an immediate contact? But the second point you brought up, you just give without hoping to receive sometimes. Even if it's not about immediately coming back to you. If you can connect to other businesses and just be that facilitator, I think you've been so well known for just give, 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 give. So when it becomes time for an ask, it's Lenore.
Yes.
I think that goes back to also you mentioned your reputation, right? How much you protect that and being the one that's willing to just go there and connect people and just know if you put enough good out there in the community, it'll come back to you
It
tenfold.
always comes back.
Right?
Exactly.
Put that good karma out there. You do enough good around there that sooner or later it's going to come back to you as well. And the last thing you touched on, I think is important, I want to get into more, is technology. How has that changed networking a little bit? To me, nothing beats this face-to-face, right? If you were out on Zoom right now, I could get distracted. You'll be on the headphones. It has a time and a place, but being in the room, I feel, is so much more. But is there now, have you seen at all, any advantages to things like LinkedIn and things like that? Can those be tools as well to complement the in-person? Or how does that coexist?
So, Chris, you just said it. They are tools. I think they're great tools that can be utilized to help you build a network and a credible network. One of the things pretty much as soon as all the LinkedIn or even Facebook, I realize that it's old for a lot of people. It's mostly the older folk that are still on Facebook doing business. But one of the things I remember being told a long time ago is never friend someone you don't know. And I pretty much stand by that. And if I don't know you, you better give me a good reason why I should know you. Don't just say, oh, we have a friend in common. Oh, great. That's terrific.
Right.
Why should I meet you? Why should you meet me? Because the thousands that people have on their LinkedIn or even their Facebook and that sort of thing, are they really, truly your connection?
Right.
Or are they just somebody who happened to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody? And then how is that valuable to you? Right?
Yeah.
So those are the kind of, unless you're just marketing yourself as, I want 1 million people to hear about. I'm not selling.
We know those people. You and I both do.
Exactly. I just want everybody. No, you've got to be pretty strategic about it. And that's part of going back to the sincerity, the genuineness of yourself. That you're not just out there befriending every single person in the world, because you're not necessarily marketing. When you're marketing yourself like I do, right? It's and I always said this, Chris, and I think you remember me saying this once many a times. It doesn't matter what I'm selling, quote unquote. I sell me first. People have to like Lenore, right? They have to like Lenore, get a good feeling about Lenore, feel comfortable with her before whatever else I sell is not important. Yeah. And, it's funny because that's when I say that, I've always thought that. But then when I started working for Jim, that's what Jim said. Lenore, he says, everybody who knows you knows you. Yeah. And I need a person who they're going to know and like and trust. Like the good old saying, we only do business with people who we know, like, and trust, right? But who also have that reach and the ability to embrace new people, right, at the same time. But in the meantime, it's all about me, Synergy Wealth Strategies, you come second. It's about
we
me.
Love you, Jim.
We love you, Jim. But yeah, you come second. It's about Lenore first, because I have to build my reputation for them to believe in what I'm selling. Right? So, I don't want to come across like a car salesman. Because, and I hate to say that because I know a lot of great car salesmen. Right. And they're very honest and they're very good. But that's the old analogy. Let's use it. I don't want to be that. Right. So, so it does make a difference, the technology in that regard. And there are a lot of great places for technology. I totally agree with you, though, Chris. Face to face, nothing beats it. And, I also, as you said, I wear a lot of hats. So another hat I wear is Smithtown Industry Advisory Board. I've been involved. So for those who don't know what that is, it's a collaboration between Smithtown Schools and the business world, right? So I'm the business connection. Another volunteer position, by the way. Almost everything I do is volunteer. But
That's our mutual friend, Phil Como. Let's give him a shout out for the work he does. Good job,
right
Phil.
There, Phil Como does a great job. I started with the Smithtown Industry Advisory Board back in, I think, 2008. That's how long I've been with them. And the fact of the matter is that one of the things that we try so hard to teach these kids now, because the businesses will always say that, what do you want from your new hires? And now, the last 6-7 years, it's been soft skills. Now, prior to that, it was always, we need people to know how to do Excel. We need people who know how to use Microsoft tools. Not anymore. Now it's soft skills, because the kids who are growing up with this, right? And they're on their phone all the time. They don't like to speak to people. I mean, it just is a fact, and it's unfortunate. They need to learn how to speak so that they're comfortable in their own shoes when they are standing in front of a group of people or they're walking into a room of people that they don't know. If you walk into a room of people you don't know and you don't start talking to people, hopefully there's a person like Lenore standing there saying, that person is very uncomfortable. And what's the first thing I do, Chris? Walk over and go, hi, I'm Lenore. Because I don't like to see that, and I understand that's fear that they have. It's fearful, Yeah. They say public speaking is terrible, right? One of the top things that people don't want to do. Whereas even when I was younger, I loved public speaking. Quick funny story, when I was about 10, my brother, who's a couple years older than me, he was a great artist, and he was doing all sorts of posters and things and winning all the time. And I had tried to sing, went into chorus, was no good. I played the drums, was no good. I said to my father, Daddy, it's not fair. Joey can paint. He's an artist. I have no talent. And my father turned around and said to me, no, Lenore, you're wrong. Your talent is the gift of gab. Now, had I been smart enough back in my younger days, I would have went to school for communication or something, and I could have been making hundreds of thousands of dollars being a news anchor or something.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I didn't understand what that meant. Yeah. But thank goodness, as you get older, you start realizing, your parents are always right.
Yeah.
At least 99.9% of the time. And my dad was right. That really, and that is what the fact that I find it easy to talk to people I don't know, speak with strangers, that people feel comfortable, I think, most of the time speaking with me. That's my talent. And, we've got to try to teach the younger generation how to get that back.
Yeah, so let's go further into that a little bit. Obviously, you can walk into a room and be a social butterfly, right, and talk to everybody. Not everyone's like that.
Right.
Some people might be shy, a little intimidated. Going to my first chamber meeting, I just opened up my Gidget shop on Main Street. I want to go meet other people there. Can you share some tips and best practices you've seen, how to break the ice, how to introduce yourself for someone who doesn't come natural?
Yeah. It isn't easy, I have to say. It really isn't easy, so I give them a lot of leeway. But probably the number one thing for them to do is not to be afraid of walking up to, even if it's a group of people, and just saying, hi, I'm new here. And you'll be surprised how many people will be like, oh, well, welcome. What do you do? And they'll start a conversation just by saying I'm new. Or this is my first time at this kind of meeting. I just started a new business, something about being new makes people want to help you. And the people who walk in and kind of interrupt, that's the people they push away. Unfortunately, there are some organizations and business groups that you'll walk into and you feel like everybody's in their own little cliques, right? In their little
it's
circle.
tough sometimes.
It's
with
tough
a new
to
person
break
there.
in. Yeah. So, and when that happens, you got to kind of go with what works for you and your personality. So I'd have to get to know the person. I don't know if walking in and saying, hi, I'm new here, as far as I'm concerned, 80% of the time that can work. That will break the ice. But for a clique of people, I would it would be tough. Maybe, and I hate to say this, but eavesdrop, listen to the little bit of the conversation, and then kind of throw your 2 cents in. If you have 2 cents to throw in, just don't be interruptive where you walk in and go, like, I'm just going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Hi, here I am. And people are going to look at you like you're crazy. So there is a way to do it. It's uncomfortable.
Yep.
You got to do what's right, what feels right at the time, I think, is what I usually tell people. And I think that was probably the easiest way is, hi, I'm new.
Right.
Or this is my second time. Hey, I've been here 5 times. I don't remember ever meeting you. Well, that's something Lenore would say.
Yeah. I think it's important, too, to remind them everyone's there for the same reason.
Absolutely.
Right. And everyone's probably just as nervous and just as uncomfortable as you are.
That's why they stay in cliques, Chris.
Right.
Because they stay with the people they know, and it makes me crazy.
I'm so guilty. You see all the banking nerds in the corner talking about the Federal Reserve and mortgage rates.
Right.
We're desperate for someone to come talk to us, but we're so intimidated that we kind of go to our own little cliques in the corner. So I'm guilty of it myself.
It's natural. I think it comes naturally, for the people to just kind of meander together who already have what's in common, right? And I always try to tell people, don't do that.
Yeah.
Again, networking is not easy. It's something that really is learned over doing it and doing it and doing it over and over again, trying different things. Again, if you know somebody who you want to meet, then walk in and say, hi, I'm new. I'm looking for a Mr. So-and-so.
Yeah.
And then that person will be like, oh, I know that person. Let me go introduce you. And then you have a warm introduction. Oh, oftentimes I've tried that. That seems to work. There's a lot of angles that you can do, but you have to feel comfortable in your shoes.
Who's a great mentor you had, or somebody who you saw growing up in a room, you said, wow, the way they're able to just build connections. They seem to know everybody. They seem to be well-liked by everybody. Who's somebody who kind of showed you the rope?
2 people come to mind, and I think you're going to be surprised by one. One I know you won't be surprised. So one's my dad. My dad, because he passed away a few years ago, but I'm a replica of him. I didn't know it.
Apple didn't fall far from the tree, huh?
I didn't know it until I started seeing him out in public and doing. He was he did a lot of different things also, but he was a writer. Joseph Militello, look up his books. They're all available on Amazon. He was a writer, but he was also a handicapper for race horses.
Wow.
So I went with him a couple of times to different seminars that he gave, and I realized, oh my goodness gracious, this is where I get this from. So it was my dad. We talked every day. He lived on the West Coast. I was here, and every single day we spoke. And I would tell him about my day, and he'd say, oh, Lenore, do this. Oh, Lenore, this is what you should do. So he was really a really great mentor, somebody I could really look up to. And to be honest, the other person, and I don't even think he knows it, and I'm going to throw the name out there. You know him very well, and that would be John Tunis. John Tunis was the person who beat me up, taught me how to stand up strong and say, you know what, I can do this. I don't know how many times. I think it was a number of times where I had said, well, if I'm not doing a good job, then just fire me. And he'd look at me and go, Lenore, that's not what I'm trying to tell you. I'm like, okay, good. That was early on because, I didn't know hotel business. I walked into that not knowing anything about hotel business. But I think John realized that I knew business, run businesses. I know business. I understand business, just not maybe the hotel business per se. And I think he really taught me the ropes and also was the one who made me understand the importance of being out in the community, networking. We had a lot of great events that happened at that hotel, and most of them were his brainchild. And I was able to, really comprehend how important building a community hub, so to speak, was, which is why I think I landed as the president of the Greater Chamber. Because I understand community, right? I understand how important business community, and I don't care how big the business, it could be a small little community or my community is large. We are Greater Middle Country Chamber, so it's a large community because it goes all over. But I understand the importance of it. And I think John was really the one who kind of made that thought become truth in my mind. So, hey, John, thanks a lot. Shout out to you if you'll ever listen.
Cliche is a cliche for a reason that, growth begins just outside your comfort zone. And it's something that I think is, more and more true every day that I see, and something I try to reinforce with, college students graduating reach out to me for advice. You were maybe limiting yourself a little bit.
I
now,
was.
how powerful you become, right? Ever
Well,
since then.
powerful. I don't know. I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
a lot of people say, "Oh, Lenore, everybody knows you." Not everybody knows me, but a lot of people know me, and hopefully they know
Lenore,
me and for the right reason.
everywhere I go, if I ever feel like I'm in a room and I need something to talk about, I go, who knows Lenore? And all of a sudden, every hand goes up, and I got a friend to talk to. So
you're
you've helped me
funny.
break the ice many, many times in many rooms that I've been in. So I usually
Come
am a
on.
lot around
You
there.
just put on that announcer voice, and you're all good to go.
no,
That's the
never
best
true.
voice ever.
Lenore, I got some quick hitters for you.
Okay, go for it.
I'm going to my first chamber meeting. Something I should not do.
Something you should not do.
Yeah.
Stand in the corner and talk to nobody.
Yeah,
Don't do that. It's just not a good idea. You want to be engaged. If you're in the room, make sure you're engaged.
What's some advice you'd share with yourself 25 years ago?
Yeah, that's a toughie. I have a lot of advice. Let's stay. I guess my number one would be just what you just said. I definitely always underestimated myself. And unfortunately, now I'm gotten very old. And now I don't. I always say, you know what? I'm going to try that. I'm going to learn that. I want that, Whereas before I'd be like, oh, I can't. What do I think I can do that? I don't think I could do that. Lucky for me, I had a lot of people, especially I call it the second half of my life. So after I went back to work at Sports Plus, the only reason why I even ended up at Sports Plus was because the president of the company, Bill Reitzik, knew me and said, Lenore, I know you. I know you can do this. He had more faith in me than I had faith in me. I'm like, I don't know anything about it, running an event center. He goes, don't worry about it. And he was right. I could do it. I was petrified. 30 days into it, I was like, I told him, if I'm not feeling good in 30 days, I'm leaving. And he said, fair enough. In 30 days, I'm like, I'm loving it up there. He goes, and you're doing good. Keep it up. I was like, wow, I didn't think I could. But again, it's all business is business is business. I used to say that all the time. I don't care what business you're going into, you better know business. Because you're going to be a doctor, you still need to know business, to know and understand business. They all run the same across the board. The basic fundamentals are the same. So I would have to say that I would have said to myself, you can do it. Don't think you can't.
That's great. Yeah. How have you been able to blend quantity and quality? You talked about you don't want to be the business card guy who just walks in, throws a bunch of business cards around and walks out. Right. And also you don't want to be the person who's hiding in the corner only talking to their buddies. How have you balanced those scales throughout your career or learned to balance them throughout your career?
That's another one that's learned over the years. And I think that the how do you balance it is that you do your prep work before you go, know who you want to meet. And then the people that you're meeting along the way, because you're hearing their story. I don't really recommend telling much about your story when you first are out networking and you're new to the group, because your story will come if the connection is made. You'll have an opportunity, or that person will understand that, hey, so what do you do, Lenore? And I'll be able to give them make sure you always have a 30-second elevator speech. I have to tell you, 60 seconds, they don't stay anymore. It's like 30 seconds.
Attention spans are shrinking
and
more every year,
goodness,
right?
so much. We're going to have to figure out 10-second elevator speech. But 30 seconds is plenty enough. Give them your 30-second, and if they're interested or you've piqued their interest, they'll ask for more information. And I think that this would be my parting advice to anybody who I might be mentoring or speaking with and saying, listen, you want to go networking, want to be successful, learn as much as you can about everybody else in the room. Because then when you come back and you've collected their business cards and you've written your notes, you'll know who's going to be a person who's going to be influential to you, whether it's you're going to be able to make a connection for them or they're going to be able to make a connection for you. And so that will be your best case scenario, right?
Yeah.
Is to learn as much as you can about the people in the room. Forget about selling you. It's not time to sell you unless that person really wants to engage with you. Then, of course, because they are obviously interested. Maybe it's because they need a financial planner.
Right. Never
I mean,
know
it just happened to me. I was over at the Hyatt for the Indigo. That was the HIA slash.
Yep.
I don't and Discover Long Island. Well, so some guy sits down next to me, and I said to him, "What do you do?" And he has this whole business that he does, brand new business actually. He's only 2 years old, and he does East End events over there, right? Takes care of, okay, fine. So then he looks at me and he goes, Lenore, Synergy Wealth Strategies, I'm glad I sat next to you. You're exactly the person I need to sit next to. I'm like, you are? I am. And he goes, yeah. He says, I'm retiring in, I think it was like 6 months from now. completely retiring pharmaceutical sales, and he wants to do this full time. He goes, I need to talk to a financial planner. I go, yes, you do.
And you know a good one, too.
And it's like, so these are the kinds of things that, so if they want to learn more about you, it'll be because they really, truly do, right? Those kinds of coincidences happen all the time. I don't believe in coincidences.
But if you weren't there, that wouldn't happen.
Of course
So you
not.
have to put yourself out there.
Exactly.
Right?
Got to
So
be
it's-
there.
You make your own luck in some ways by being out there.
That's right. And that really is it. True, Chris. You know that better than anybody, too, because you're out there.
Trying.
Trying.
I'm
doing
trying.
what- doing
Following
what
your
you do.
footsteps. What's new with
Sure.
Middle Country Chamber? What's coming down the pike with the Middle Country Chamber?
Well, Middle Country Chamber, I don't know. You guys got to look at it online. We just had a phenomenal blowout day this past Saturday, June 13th. I don't know when this is airing, but that was June 13th, and it was America 250 celebration over in Selden. It was amazing. Probably 3,000 plus people walked through our Veterans Park. We had everything you could possibly think of was happening that day. And we ended the day with Southbound Band. It was amazing, and it was unbelievable. I have to tell you, it was just a vision that our Suffolk County legislator, Nick Caracappa, had in January. He sat down, we had a meeting, he said, this is what I want. What do you think? I'm like, okay, let's do it. We did it together. But I have to tell you, Nick, legislator Caracappa, he really did most of the footwork and all the organizing. A lot of my board, Doreen, my admin, I would never be able to handle anything if it wasn't for Doreen Newman. Shout out to her. Best person that could ever be an assistant to the chamber. Anyway, she did all the vendors. I mean, it was an amazing day. I don't even know how to explain it, but I would encourage everybody to go to Facebook page, Middle Country Chamber, Greater Middle Country Chamber, and you'll see all the posts. It was a fantastic day. So we've been spending a lot of our extra time, Chris, working on getting that together. So now that that's over, it's kind of like a because we worked hard to get that accomplished. And now we have a couple of, I don't remember exactly, I think it's July 22nd and August something. We're having our 2 Music in the Park nights.
Nice.
So Bon Journey, I think, is
cool.
one. And, oh, goodness, I can't remember the other one. But that's all booked and ready to go. It's a free concert.
We'll put in the details
So,
below.
Put in details. I love that.
Yeah.
So we're working on that. But the chamber's growing in leaps and bounds. Middle Country, I don't know, you drive down Middle Country Road now, Selden, Center Ridge, Lake Grove, so much better as far as not having so many empty stores, so many new businesses opening up. We are a mecca of different types of food nationalities. Any kind of cuisine you think of, we have it in Middle Country. It's pretty amazing. You know, it's all good stuff. The chamber's doing really well. We're growing in leaps and bounds, and you know, I have a great board behind me. I can't do it alone. And we have members that are so involved. It's really a wonderful feeling that it's not just, you know, usually as I know you've seen in the past, it's usually just that handful of people.
Oh, it's grown leaps
And
and bounds.
now it's, you know, it's
active.
and everybody wants to help, and it's all hands on. So it's fantastic. I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish.
Lenore,
for
I
sure.
appreciate you stopping by today, sharing advice. I think our audience is
loved
going to
it.
find it helpful. You know, a lot of people doesn't come natural, but I think you shared some great tips about how to break into the room. I think your advice about kind of following that 80-20 rule when you meet somebody, let them talk 80% of the time. Learn about them and go in there looking to help, not always just take. And I think, like you said, if you do enough of that, your reputation follows you and you'll be in good shape. So thank you so much for coming by today,
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you, Chris, for having me.
as always.